Tales of the TMNT Season 5 Episode 2, The Forgotten Swordsman. I absolutely love this episode. Not only do we get to see a couple of characters come back, one of which from the dead, because I mentioned in the last review, I didn't know if certain characters were alive or dead, specifically Razar and Zever, because Zever seemingly was left to just die with no air just on the beach during the season finale, and before that, Leatherhead, dive bombed, into the bottom of the water, and Razar didn't come back to the top, and he also didn't show up in the season finale, so it's like, I think they're both dead. We find out that Zever actually did survive the season finale, but Razar did not. Their names are almost so close, I'm like, wait, did I mix them up? But Razar did not survive his dive to the depths of the water under, it wasn't technically Coney Island, but I think that's what it's supposed to be. But that was cool. I was like, okay, so he was officially dead, and Cavaxis has to bring him back to life, which this is something they do a lot in this episode. I mentioned in the premiere review that Cavaxis was a character. I just didn't know exactly who the character was. And the character's name is Hothead. He's like a reimagining of that character. So when they call him Hothead a bunch in this episode, that's because he is that actual character. Just reimagined. I don't know specifically how he's different or anything. I just saw that recently, like even on TMNT Twitter, they put it on there like, what is Cavaxis a reimagining of, or what classic character? And it's specifically Hothead. So they keep calling him that as his nickname, because that's who the character was called in the original series. So I thought it was cool that they did that. Another character, or a character that actually is introduced in this episode that's a classic character, is Tatsu, who a lot of people I think might be familiar with mostly because of the films, the live action movies. So obviously the first three, or really the first two live action movies. And I thought that was great. They introduced this character, and I forgot that it was that character. I was looking some stuff up as I was watching the episode, and I was like, oh right, it's Tatsu. It's been forever since I've seen the old Ninja Turtles movies, and I'm not like super deep into the comics until the shows come out. It's always years between I do anything Ninja Turtles related. Outside of like love the characters, I don't tend to like buy the comics and stuff, so I don't remember anything and everything about the series. But they brought Tatsu in for this version of the series, and he was awesome. And the only thing that sucks about them bringing him in and making him so awesome is that seemingly he died at the end of this episode. Like, Cavaxis comes down, and once again I mentioned the symmetry of how they like to do the character. He bursts down like the angel of death, and it's in slow motion, and he grabs him, and it's like he absorbed his soul. It was like some Shang Tsung stuff, and it was even green, and he grabs his face, and he's just screaming, and then he just drops him, and his face is just kind of twisted a little. And I'm like, so he just like sucked his soul out, or did he like knock him out or something? Because I'm like, he looks dead to me. So I think he's dead. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. But I'm like, I feel like he just Shang Tsunged him and like sucked his soul clean out. So I don't know if he's alive or if he's dead. But he was great in this. And we start off, it's pretty simple, like of course, Razar is brought back to life, and Cavaxis, who is inching closer and closer to being free, because he's making his moves, and he's looking, it's like he has all his subordinates and stuff. When he holds the Kabuto up in the air and everyone bows down and he smiles, and Tiger Claw kind of looks at him like, what's he doing? And of course, when he puts the helmet down, he's like, we just need his heart. And Tiger Claw's like, well, my men are on that, but he said something, and then at the end, I don't know why he bothered to throw that in there, but like, just remember who your master is. Just to egg him on, make him a little angry, and it's like, of course. And he's looking at that little medallion, and he's like, I'm going to whip that straight out of your hands, and I'm going to roast you alive. So, getting real close to that. But this is definitely a fun second episode. The action was great in this. Of course, we get Karai back, we get Shinigami back, so that was really great to see that duo. They have a cool fight scene by themselves in the beginning before Tatsu is introduced, where they beat up the foot ninjas, who are all human again. We don't even see foot bots in this. All humans, and they're all dressed in red in this now. So that was something else that I thought was interesting, because we went from the old school foot ninja, I don't know, I guess the original colors were black, since technically it was a black and white comic, but I'm so used to them being purple because like the 80s version, even the 2002 version, if I remember right, had like black and purple colors. They had like they had like purple vests on, and then it was black underneath, if I remember right, but it was kind of all black in this. So we got the red foot ninjas, which I thought was pretty cool, and we got to see Karai like change and stuff, and I swear this could just be me picking like one random thing to suddenly notice after all these seasons. But was her sash always purple? I don't remember it being that. Like for some reason, it really stood out to me, and I'm like, there's no reason that like that dark purple should stand out, and I'm like, I never noticed it being purple before. So I don't know if that's new. I feel like it is, just because I'm like, I swear I never noticed that it was purple. I always thought it was just black. And I just noticed, I'm like, man, was that always purple? It's such a random thing to change, too. That's why I'm like, it had to have always been that way, and I never noticed, because why suddenly change it to purple? It's not like they changed anything else. It was literally the sash. Like, her arms, the whole rest of the costume was still black. It didn't change, like, at all. It was like that little sash. And I'm like, was that always purple? So you guys might have to help me on that. But I swear, I never noticed that it was purple before, and it really stuck out. And I'm like, I never caught that. All these seasons, and I'm like, I just always thought it was black. Never. I don't know. So maybe they did change. Maybe it was an error. I doubt it, but I just don't know. I'm like, that's something about that just stuck out to me. But it was cool to see the two of them fight. Shinigami using their moves, and they beat up the Foot Ninjas at first, and then there's like this random super ninja that starts, kind of just flying around. He's like a ghost, and then Karai realizes who it is. And that's when Shinigami gets knocked out, and she realizes that it's her former master, and it's Hattori Tatsu. And I thought that was really awesome, and he was super cool and very hardcore. And Bradford knew who he was, well, he called him that, which is crazy to hear, because I'm just so used to Razar, or Zombie Wolf, or whatever it was Mikey said when they were fighting. I thought that was really funny. But, this dude is really tough, and Razar has to decide, like, should I join him? Because he is so powerful. And also, he freaked out. He's like, I thought you never left Japan and stuff. He was just such a cool character. And so everybody has to team up, because it's like this race for the helmet. And you got 3 different parties. You got the heroes going for it to stop the villains. Then you have the Foot clan of the villains, or, the clan that is kind of separated because, Shredder is gone. So now they're kind of being redirected towards a new, stronger leader. And of course that's Tatsu, and then of course we have Tiger Claw, Zevra, and Razar trying to basically rebuild what the clan, initially was, with Shredder on top. And I love the way that dynamic kind of played out. We didn't get as much fighting as I thought we were, as far as like a 3-way war type of situation, because Razar and Zevra don't end up coming in, especially with Cavaxis, until like the very end of the big battle. So we didn't get like that 3-way sequence like I thought we would at the end, but we didn't need it, because Tatsu is super freaking amazing. So they break in. It's Leo. It was Leo, Shinigami, Mikey, and then Karai. And so the 4 of them are trying to fight Tatsu and the Foot Ninjas. They beat up the ninjas, and they're trying to deal with Tatsu. And we find out after Karai splits his mask in half that he's blind. He's like the blind swordsman, like Zatoichi. And that was pretty sweet. So he's the blind samurai, or he's the blind ninja in this case. And it was super cool. And so, of course, he's got like his Daredevil mode going with the super senses, and he is destroying them. And he's doing like pressure, like this is something he was doing the whole episode, but he was like pressure pointing people like nobody's business. Like even Master Splinter didn't pressure point people that much. I swear, I think Tatsu built up all of Master Splinter's pressure points throughout 4 seasons, or I guess 3, because he wasn't really in the space season. But every pressure point move that Master Splinter has done, like the entire series, I think Tatsu was like in a race, like, alright, he did this, I gotta do this move, I gotta do that move, and like match his numbers or something. Because he was hitting them so hard with the pressure points. And there was a part where he hit Leo like with like a four punch combo, and he did it so fast, and he like blew him away. And I was like, wow, this is just such a cool fight. And he was able to take on Karai even when she went into her mutated form, which was really cool. And the part where he beat up Mikey and Shinigami, and they both like threw their weapons, and he grabbed him and like pulled him towards him, and he did like the long kick, and he spun, and they're falling. It was so cool the way they did it, and it was like he literally moved so fast. They basically didn't even animate it. Like he was flipping. Clearly, he wasn't meant to actually land on his feet. And then it basically just cut as if it sped up, and he was on his feet. And I was like, that was really cool. It was funny. This would be for anime fans, but anyone who watches, who's ever seen Nichijou, they have a scene like that. And it personally, it made me think of that. It was cool, but it made me think of Nichijou, which just made me laugh, because the girl was like an inch off the ground, and she was picking up some papers that she was spinning through the air. And she picks up the paper, and then it cuts and she lands on her feet. And it's like, that's impossible. But so it wasn't meant to be funny, but it made me think of that anime, so it made me laugh. But it was still really cool. And I definitely watched it twice. I was like, that's just insane. So they get knocked out. They get sent into the water. The cavalry arrives with Casey, who, of course, went in, was talking, going Pucks blazing against Cavaxis. Would have worked on him. Fortunately, it worked on Tatsu, and it messed with his super hearing. So they used that to their advantage. Unfortunately, with Shinigami having been taken out of commission, Casey was the next one to go when he tried to hit him with like the his electric, the potato masher. That's what I was trying to think of, the actual name of the thing. But he was trying to hit him with the electric potato masher, and he broke his arm. And when it first happened, I was like, did he really break his arm, or did he like pressure point him? Because he was doing it the whole episode, so I couldn't really tell. So I rewound it, and it was like, nope, his arm was like this, and it just popped a little closer towards the screen. I was like, man, he broke his arm. And then, of course, he reverses the masher on him and electrocutes him, or shocks him, because electrocution means you die. So he's getting, shocked, and he just kicks him away, and he's already, like, passed out, and he's being fried. So the two of them are done, and fortunately, Leo and Karai are able to use the rest of the pucks to distract them, and that was a great sequence as well, and they're doing, like, the whole ninja thing where they're flying in front of them and behind them, and it was so cool the way they did it, because I thought for sure as well it was just Karai. And so they're throwing the pucks in different locations to distract them. And it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen? Because he actually caught him. I was like, crap, I didn't think that would work. And then they cut to Leo dropping right behind him, and he does the pressure point like he did on Raph. And the visuals for that were, absolutely amazing. It was simple, but it was so cool. And he just hits him. It was just like, and everything got sucked away, and it was just a white background. I loved it. That was probably really fun for them to animate because it was so easy too. But I loved the way they did that. It was just like everything got like sucked into a vortex, and he had nothing. And also when it first started, it was really muffled because he was screaming, but you couldn't hear it too much. I love that as well. So it's just, everything becomes white, and he can't really see anything with his heightened senses until it's like right in front of him. So you see like the eyes of Karai's arm, and then when they stretch out towards his face, we see it in like full detail, and it's biting him. Also, Nickelodeon, because he's getting bit all over the face. I'm like, those are like big chunks on his face, and it's just little holes. I'm like, no, he'd be bleeding all over the place. But like, Nickelodeon. Even though, season finale, like chopping the dude's head off. But, pick and choose when the violence occurs. But it was really great. I love the way they did that. And of course, they end up defeating him. Like I said, Cavaxis comes in. His Angel of Death posed in slow motion, sucking people's souls out of their faces. Takes the helmet, they actually get it back in place, and now all they need is Shredder's heart to bring him back to life. So, looking forward to where we're headed. This was definitely a great episode. I'm curious how long Shinigami and Casey are going to be out of commission. I mentioned this when the trailer, or the opening first came out. I was like, it's interesting that, with all the characters, we only see the Turtles, April, and Karai. And I was like, it would make sense. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to me not to see Karai, but it was like, okay, if it was just the Turtles and April, those are always the main 5 characters. It's like, once you go below the Turtles, April is number 1. Like, April and Splinter are on the same level, and April might be there a little bit more when you really consider everything. And I was like, okay, it's a little weird that we never get to see Casey in this opening, and we don't get to see Shinigami, who's always with Karai now that she's, coming to the series. And I don't know if this means that, this is kind of their way of implementing that, why they weren't in the trailer too much or in the opening too much, because maybe they won't be in this season too much, which would really, really suck. And I hope that this is like a temporary thing. Maybe they're out of commission for a couple episodes, but they're, they get healed up and they go back to the cave or whatever, and they're just in the background talking to them. But I hope this isn't just, they're gone. They don't really have anybody else. I don't even remember if Casey's family is alive, honestly. But Shinigami, it's just her and Karai. So, like, she would leave the hospital and kind of have to go to, the Turtles and Karai. So, I would assume they'll end up in the cave. And I just think that's the safest place compared to wherever Karai has been. Like, she's been in the hospital, too. I don't know what they do for money. I was thinking about that when they dropped him off. I was like, well, what are they going to do for, like, insurance and money and this and that? They're just going to ninja their ways right out of there, I guess. But I hope they're not out of commission too much, because I really like those characters. And of course, we don't really, even though the show is the way it is, I feel like we don't see Shinigami nearly as much as I would like to, because of course Casey's with the turtle all the time, so we always get Casey. But sometimes we still end up getting Karai, and we don't get Shinigami that much. And I was glad that we got to see a lot of Shinigami in this episode, but I kind of feel like that's the thing that they somehow managed to make sense, where it's always like Karai will be in the whole episode, and somehow Shinigami still isn't in a lot of it, even though she's with Karai the whole time. It's like, how did they manage to work that magic out and it makes sense where she's not in it the whole episode? But hopefully they aren't out of commission for too long. I'm not even sure what they're going to explain for Shinigami. Like, obviously for Casey, he got beat up, but his arm was broken. And for Shinigami, she got kicked just like Mikey. So I was surprised that they had to take her to a hospital at first, because it was just like her and Mikey. Like, they showed, Shinigami, but it was like, because Karai, that was like her closest friend was taken down. And that's why I thought they did it for her instead of, Leo for Mikey. But then it's like, no, she's like truly, truly wounded, just like Casey. So they have to kind of just leave them there. It's also weird to see Casey without the helmet on him at all, like even lifted up. I was like, that's weird just to see his hair. I was like, that kind of looks weird to me to see him like that. It's kind of been a minute. But I hope they aren't out of it for too long. Like I said, really great episode. I really do hope Tatsu didn't have his soul just sucked out of his face and he isn't actually dead. He was just knocked out. But we will see about that, because I mean, that just looked really intense and I just don't think he survived. So we'll see what happens with that, but this was definitely a fun episode. Love the action for it. Can't wait to see where they go with the zombie shredder and what they're going to do with that. Where the heck his heart even is, I would love to get that answer. I would just assume, like, they had his body, so why wasn't his heart there? So I'm looking forward to that answer, and just whatever we're going to be getting next week. But of course, or I guess I should say this week. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts and least favorite parts were. And I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this version of Tatsu. He is a character, like I said, some people may not remember him because it has been forever since the original duo of films, not even counting the third one, because really no one's... Actually, he may have been in that. I don't remember. I don't really remember. Maybe they had the same actor in that, or even in the third movie, even though he wasn't Tatsu. Maybe he was in there. I remember some bald dude being in the third movie, because that's the one I actually have on video. May not have even been the same actor or anything like that. I just remember it being like some bald dude as one of the villains. But I would love to know what you guys think about this version of the character. Also, would love to know if you think he's dead or not, because that would really suck. I mean, he's such a badass character, admittedly, from what we got. I would really hope he's not dead. Even if they do bring back, the zombie shredder, which I feel, of course, is only going to be temporary. We need a super cool character to kind of come in here and there just to be really awesome and hardcore to fight. Like even Raph says, it's like fighting Shredder. So I would love to see that. It's also not brute force. It was very martial arts style. As with Shredder, he can dodge and block, but when he hits, he don't waste time with that pressure point crap. He hits people so hard, they fly. So it was cool to see like Shredder, but like the super speed, true like dark ninja version of Shredder, compared to normal Shredder where he'll just block and just like beat you to the side, which Tatsu did to Zebra, which was hilarious when he first came up to him and he just backhanded. I was like, dang, he backhanded him like a Grinch. Looked hilarious though, which is really funny to me. It's always funny when someone gets backhanded like that, or front-handed. Like if you get slapped, it tends to make me laugh depending on how good the slap is. But really great episode. Like I said, would love to know what you guys thought about this version of Tatsu. If you think he's actually alive or dead, would love to know your thoughts on that. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.